Just because I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted. Everybody around me thugging. Everybody around me drugging. Everybody around me hustling. Everybody know not to bring no new rigging around me. They say I be bugging. Got racks in the go-yard luggage. Just because I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I am your host, Quinton Flores. This is another episode of Uncut with Q. And in today's episode, man, I have a really special guest. It's the second time coming back. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the world for the second time.
Hi, Dani.
She's awesome, y'all. She's my cousin. We've been related our whole lives. We used to play in the same backyard together.
You said that on the last one, too.
I did. I'm going to say it again because it's always awesome doing these things with you, I love the studio space. Like, having, the real estate side and now having to, keep everything in one spot. Truthfully, I just should have always kept this spot open out of everything that I've done. And I'm just passionate about it. So, doing these shows and shit is just fun as fuck, especially when I get to do them with my family and people that I love.
Fun as fuck.
Yeah, it literally is fun as fuck. It's cool to have you back on again, What is this, what is the main thing that you want to cover that you feel is important to talk about in today's podcast? Because I know we're literally winging this shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was waiting for you to
You want me to guide?
the podcast.
Okay, cool. I guide. I am the guide.
You are the guide.
We'll reset. That way she's expecting this. You ready?
Yeah.
Give me a 1.
2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is another episode of Uncut with Q. I'm your host, Quinton Flores, and today, guys, we're going to be talking about all things. And I love doing these shows, you know what I'm saying? So this is your first time listening. All I ask, and this is something that we ask every single time, is that you share the show with somebody. If you get something meaningful from this, or for whatever reason this changes your life, subscribe and share it. Share it with someone that you think could gain value from it. And if you don't gain value for whatever reason, then just don't fucking share it. Really don't care. We're gonna keep making these episodes any fucking way. So it doesn't even matter.
Fun.
Literally, we have way too much fun doing this shit. But I appreciate doing this. I love talking. Y'all know I like to talk up a storm. So any value that I can give to you guys, just reciprocate it. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Tell somebody about something that you learned from one of these episodes. Show some love. That's what we do. That's how we grow this thing. Anyways, guys, I have multiple different types of shows. The type of show that we have today is a long form episode. So I got my good friend, cousin as well, family, everything, really, here with me. Go on ahead and introduce yourself to the world.
Hello, world. I'm Dani.
Yeah.
Q's cousin.
You're so much more than that, though. You do so many different things. Give everybody a brief description of what you have going on right now.
First and foremost, I am a mom. I have a beautiful little girl who is a big personality, and I do real estate. My passion is educating real estate. So I've done a couple deals and, been in a couple wholesale operations, but my true passion is educating real estate.
It's my favorite thing to do too. Mm-hmm. I feel like people they shift gears on that so well, because once you learn it, you teach it, you learn more. And I think that that's the most powerful thing here, is that we're constantly learning and that we're constantly expanding, but we're also helping other people do the same. And in turn, it does the same for us. I love to teach because I learn when I teach. And I think that that's the most powerful thing about coaching, is that not only am I helping someone else become better at business, I get to hear it over and over and over again, Mm-hmm. And so in turn, I feel like it just bleeds deeper into the things that I've always wanted to do. Because real estate was number one for me anyways. Mm-hmm. Real estate got me to a point where I felt confident enough to say, you know what, damn, I'm closing a bunch of real estate deals, but now I can teach it. When do you think for you, in your perspective and what you've been able to go through, when was the shift for you? Because you've done some real estate deals. You've done very well for yourself. I know this. I've been following you for so long. We follow each other,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're teaching it. You have a big event coming up too, So what was the transition for you? I'm interested in knowing.
I think the transition was pretty early on. Being involved in the different operations, I found myself not doing so much of the calling sellers and building buyers lists. I know how to do all of that, and I can do it if I need to, but I found myself putting deals for myself on the side and helping those in the office who were struggling on a call. I wouldn't hit my KPIs because I was literally just floating around helping everybody else. And so for a little bit, I didn't do any deals on my own, but I definitely helped. And then I realized that this was what I loved. To me, it was, I would rather focus my time in here and helping people learn this really amazing industry and trade than to do deals for myself. I didn't find the satisfaction in that. It was really in helping people. And, you know, it was from everything, just giving them feedback live on a call, you know, like put it on mute so I can tell you, like, hey, take it this way. And, you know, there was one time this guy was like, yeah, no, I don't think we do notes. Okay, call you later, but like, talk to you never. Bye.
Oh
and I
God.
was like, no. I was like, call her back. Like, yes, we can do something with that. And it's just, you know, if someone doesn't know of a strategy or a way of analyzing something, they're not going to know, they're going to pass up opportunity. So to me, it was just like, there's opportunity all around, and we're not capitalizing on it because we're not aware of what we're offering here and like the solutions we provide. So I became big into teaching them and showing them, probably more than they were ready for, but at the same time, like, they were just loving it and they were so absorbed into it. And I think everyone has kind of gone off into different industries, and that's okay, but I know that they'll never forget what I taught them, and it'll come back full circle one day, and they're going to be like, oh, I remember, like, I didn't think we did notes, and Dani said we do notes, and I remember. So if I hear anything like that, I'm going to call her one day. And so I'm more about like planting seeds into people for the future, and then like they come back with the deals later. And so it's like the best of both worlds.
What do you think was a huge learning curve in the coaching space? Like, what was the most challenging thing for you just getting into that?
Honestly, it was so easy and so organic. I think I just have that like maternal instinct of like taking care of people and identifying where they need help and being able to word it for them in a way that's very easy for them to digest has just been so incredibly natural for me that I feel what I do struggle with is reaching the amount of people that I want to reach. I feel like I'm in this box, and I feel like I have this calling for people to hear my voice and hear what I have to say because it's going to help them.
Yeah. You know, that right there was a big one for me too. Because at the beginning, I was just documenting. Like, that's it. Like, I was not a coach yet, hearsay. I didn't have a community of people that I was mentoring like I do now. And it's crazy being in the transition of things, because I love closing real estate deals. That's always going to be there. But for the longest time, all I ever did was the business. And then there were one-off times where I would just coach on my own. But I didn't necessarily think about, like, you know, that I would ever take this seriously, like the way I am now. Like, I dropped so much money on getting my program built out for me, and then I went and used that as a template to make it even better and amplify it so that it could be more structured. I think structured education is way more valuable. You know, when people sign up for like a mentor or whatever, like half the time when they sign up, they're just waiting for the next thing. And it's like, okay, well, I sent the money. What do I get now? You know, it's like, what are your deliverables? What is the promise that you're committing to your students? What is their average overall success rate that you're seeing within students that join your program? Like, I just did not really take in any of those things. And at the beginning, when I first started coaching, same like you, I just realized it came naturally. Like, I just love to teach, and I was teaching my students that were like one-off. Like, every now and then some guy would be like, Q, you know, I'll pay you this amount of money if you just let me marry you. And I'd say, yeah, sure, let's do it, you know. And so we started doing that. And then that came from taking on maybe 4 or 5 of those every year to now where I'm able to onboard hundreds of them if I needed to into a program that is dedicated, effective, and fully built out. And so, like, I don't know, like, for me, that was my learning curve. What have you seen so far, like, as far as like success in students and whatnot? Like, you have anybody that was like took your advice and really ran with it that you can talk about right now on the podcast?
At the moment, no. Like I said, it was more within the operation that I was with before.
Gotcha.
And since that operation's no longer, everyone's kind of just doing their own thing in different industries. But I have been meeting people now that are showing me, like, this is the path I need to take. There are people who are hungry for this information. But it's one thing to be hungry, and it's one thing to be like, I'm going to do something with what you give me, you know? And so I think we can say, you know, the market rate for this type of education can range between the $20,000 and $40,000 range to learn everything, to have someone show you beginning to end how to wholesale, how to flip, how to buy and hold, how to do all of these things. I think that's around the market rate. And so I started realizing that, like, I was teaching people who didn't really understand the value of what they were being taught. I did it because that's my passion and I was drawn towards helping them, which I always would and still, but there comes a point where you have to realize, like, you know, this is a business, right? And
Yeah.
so even if I don't charge them that up front, and let's just say we do deals together, right? Being that people do charge that, that's the market rate for this type of help and education. I had to realize that, like, I need to make sure that who I am investing this time into can show me a return on that initial investment that I'm putting into them. And so looking back, being that everyone kind of went off and did their own thing, and it might not just have been for them, and that's okay. You know, it was about, let's just say, 9 people at $20,000 a person of market rate. I mean, how much is that?
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money that I didn't get a return on, and that wasn't my intention at the time. But realizing, like, that's not a smart business, right?
Yeah.
You don't invest to not get a return, you know? So I'm restructuring that and analyzing now, and vetting people who, it's not about how much money they have that they can put their initial investment and, like, pay me for my time. It's not about that. It's, I want to plant seeds that are going to blossom and flourish. I don't want to plant empty seeds.
Yeah.
You know?
I've seen it, you know, and I believe me, I've done both paid education and I've done free education.
Mm-hmm.
I loved both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Free education isn't always free.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I give out free game all the time, but there's always an affiliate attached to the back end of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can create a whole bunch of different free communities where people are invested and are willing to learn and be involved, and then they filter themselves out without being monetarily committed. But, like, man, it's the same thing. Like, there's a different dog in the guy who's invested versus the dude who's just trying to put his time into it. And, you know, like, I didn't have money. I was an anomaly. You're an anomaly. Like, we didn't have the means to just say, here's $20,000 to $50,000 to teach me real estate. I don't know if you did. I didn't.
I didn't.
So, like, you know, we just fucking figured it out. And the mentors I met were people that were just doing it already. And so I would just go pick your brain, bring you value, take this house, teach me for free, let me mirror you, let me shadow you, don't pay me anything for this. And that's how I got the majority of the knowledge that I had got. And it wasn't until, like, 2020 when I invested in my first mentor. I put 35 grand into my friend Preston Brown's pocket. And he was the first guy that ever coached me at this level. Up until then, I had only had, like, one-off guys that I had mirrored for a little while, went and saw their operations, saw a little bit of what they were doing on the back end, and then studied some things and then implemented some things. But I didn't really know, you know? And look, like, I was excited going to my friend's office, like Carlos Reyes. I consider him one of my mentors. I've never paid for his coaching. You know, I remember he brought me into his office and shit, and he was like, Q, this is everything. And I was like, dude, show me your freaking acquisition office. Show me everything you got going on. Show me your dispo team. Show me your CEO, CFO, XYZ. Carlos gave me everything. He gave me a whole packet because I was one of the speakers for his first event, which is the Freedom event, one of his first big conventions, which, if you guys ever are watching this right now, if you really want to take your business to the next level, Carlos is a good man. I love him to death. And he always has these big ass events. They're called Freedom. He has Momentum, and then he has Elite. Now, the Freedom events are, like, geared toward people that are just starting out. The tickets are like $200 to $500, but I saw Ed Milet there. I saw Chris Cron. I saw Ryan Pineda. I saw Flipping New Jersey. All these different guys that I had the opportunity to meet were so humble and, like, literally just willing to show me, like, cool stuff for free. I'm sitting in the speaker room next to all of these dudes, getting to pick their brain, getting to learn so much, getting to really be involved, you know? So I got a lot of free education too, but nothing compares to what I paid for.
Right.
Because when you're invested, you see something different. You know, like, you can go to college for free if you're smart enough, but you might not take that seriously. And the reason why is because you didn't put 20 to 50K or $100,000, $180,000 college tuition into that education system, you know? And so, like, just thinking about that, there's a different dog between somebody who wants free education and somebody who wants paid education.
Yeah.
The person who pays is going to be successful every single fucking time. That's the reality. I know you guys have a huge event coming up. What is the premise of the event? Why are you doing it?
I'm doing it because I've always been a big believer in giving back and planting seeds and creating opportunity for people. And it's just bigger than me and myself and my wants and the things that I'm going to get out of it. So being that it's, you know, a free event, and can I just touch on it really quickly? So I agree with what you said about, you know, free versus paid. That is definitely a different, like, I think you need to, if you can start free but eventually get to paid where you can afford it, that will take you to the next level. That does open up different doors for you and put you in rooms to rub shoulders with different types of people that you may not get in the more affordable space, right? But what about those, you know, what are they, athletes, those athletes that come from really, really, like, what is the word?
Like they get drafted?
Like poverty. Like they come from like straight
Kobe
poverty,
Bryant.
but they have talent,
Yeah.
right? And so just because they didn't pay for their scholarship and they got it handed to them, but because of their environment, they're hungry.
Yeah.
They come from, like, they've just got grit. They don't want to raise their children in the same type of environment of being in poverty, and they want to use their talents to create opportunity and take them into places that they've never been before. And I will say, like, I do agree with, I do think there's a difference between education and mentorship. So I'm a firm believer that education should be free. It should be available for people,
Yep.
but time is not. And I understand that time is not free, which is, that's where you get the mentorship, right? So it's two different things. I can give you the recipe with all the ingredients, here you go. Or I can say, you know what, come in my kitchen, let's cook together. I'm going to show you how I do it, some little tricks of the trade. And now it's that's my time, right? So this event is going to be more education. So it's not going to be so much of like my personal time. This is obviously to build the brand and to get, you know, my name out there and give back to the community. But I've always been a firm believer that the education portion should be free. And, you know, the hustle is different. Uncle Charles said one time that education is the cure for ignorance.
Yep.
Knowledge is the cure for ignorance, and that stuck with me. And it's like, you know, if we can just make that more available, the wholesalers have this like
Scarcity mentality,
but they also have like a grimy kind of stereotype, right? Realtors hate that. They're like, oh yeah, like wholesalers are calling me this and that, right? But I think it's because look at a realtor and look at a wholesaler. A realtor has gone through courses, they got their education, they went and they got a license, they have fiduciary duty. So they're a little bit more like professional, right? Yeah. You can imagine that that's someone with a degree in a sense, versus a wholesaler who doesn't have a license is a more like free-spirited entrepreneur, right? There should be kind of a in the middle,
like a middle ground,
where it's, you know, the wholesalers are doing ethical business the same way a realtor would. Mm-hmm. But a realtor can also use the same like outlook of someone in the wholesale space to have multiple different strategies and have other ideas. There is more out there than just, you know, my 3% commission and a traditional buyer. There are different strategies that I feel maybe if realtors could open their minds up to these, they could perform for their sellers or have more options for their buyers. And so I feel there's this like huge middle ground that we can actually bring them together. And that's the purpose of the event. Realtors who are looking to kind of step outside the box to be able to have more options, but then also showing wholesalers like there are ethics and there are parameters in which we need to do business. Just because we're not licensed doesn't mean we don't need to, you know? And it's just a lack of education. People are just ignorant. They just don't know. And ignorance is not the same thing as stupidity. Ignorance just means you don't know. Someone stupid knows and they choose to do something different. So that's what my goal is, putting that education out there and showing that like we can do things on an ethical level, and realtors can definitely use this mindset to broaden their horizons.
It's amazing, man. I love it. Honestly, there's not enough of that going around. There's very few brokerages that I know of in San Antonio, Austin, Fort Worth, New Braunfels, surrounding areas that actually teach real estate investing on top of what they do as the brokerage, which is traditional. You know, like one of my first brokerages that I ever got a chance, just like when I got into wholesaling, and this is like from my end too, because I know we both have like different ways that we got introduced to all of this, but a buddy of mine took me to a seminar here in town with a local company called Lifestyles Unlimited. And it was my first time walking into a seminar like this. The realtors there, so Lifestyles Unlimited is layers, right? So you have the investor pool, then you have the education side, then you have the brokerage side, and then you have the hedge fund buying side. It's all four in one umbrella. And so when you sign up to be a Lifestyles member, you're going to be spending about like $5,000 to $25,000 a year for the coaching. Depending on whatever type of coaching that you get access to a coach that's dedicated to showing you how to do the BRRRR method. They help you out with getting pre-qualified for multiple different hard money lenders. And then you have a licensed realtor from the Lifestyles Unlimited brokerage that will represent you in buying your first investment deal for the protection of you and your assets. Because, you know, your investment has to be backed by real estate. Then you have the masterminds, the conventions. Then you have the elite stuff, which is where we all buy apartment complexes together. The founder of that business, his name is Del Walmsley, and he's one of the most like impressive people I've ever met. I mean, the guy was super nice to me, shook my hand, met me. I thanked him so much for his time because he came through one day for a weekend class just to teach more about the BRRRR method and how it literally saved him in the 90s. And he was buying properties pre-market and after, and even still today. Lives in a huge mansion, you know, so like it was really cool being introduced to that, right? But what I'm saying is that they had that business on lock full spectrum. Like you didn't go in thinking that wholesalers were bad, that realtors know more than investors, or that investors were these like lowball people or whatever. You came in knowing that you were in a fucking whirlpool of all of it together. And you got a chance to see every single angle so you could figure out where it was that you wanted to be. And I just wanted to be in the investor side. So I stood in the back of that seminar for a whole year learning how to buy and hold real estate. And I didn't know how the fuck I was going to get the money to do it, but I knew for a fact that I was going to learn something. Then somebody approached me and told me about wholesaling. That's when my life changed. And so it was in that moment that I figured out what it was that I actually wanted to do. And a couple of real estate deals later, bam, it fucking happened. And I made my first check. You know, but I truthfully believe that there needs to be a lot more of that, you know, because I knew I could have gotten my license at the beginning. I just didn't. I didn't get my license because to me, I really wanted to learn how to be an investor, really wanted to learn how to wholesale. That's what my mind was fixated on. So like, was it the same for you? Like when you got into the business, did you look at every aspect before you decided what avenue you wanted to make your foot in first?
So
well, I'm really interested in how you even learned about all of this. So like, what got you into this?
Okay, so when I was previously married, we wanted to leverage my dad being a contractor. And we knew that if we can learn about real estate, that if we can get my dad on board and partner with us, that we could have this like really awesome operation. And I had surgery in 2020 and I was in a whole brace for 3 months. I couldn't drive. I had a spine surgery and I just spent those 3 months like overdosing on information, YouTube University. And, you know, you kind of go down a rabbit hole of like, okay, well, flipping. And then it's like, okay, well, there's other strategies and then there's wholesaling and there's this and there's that. And it's hard not to get like shiny object syndrome of like being all over the place, but they kind of intertwine. And if you learn them in the correct order or in an order that, you know, they can all mesh well, it's not too bad to learn so much so quick, you know, because then you can learn, I like the strategy, or, oh, this one is more my type and this fits me better. So I wanted to flip a house and I was like, how am I going to do this? I don't have $40,000. Like I already knew about hard money and things like that. But I knew I needed to bring some money to the table. So kind of trying to figure that out. And I was like, well, what if I wholesaled a couple of deals and built some capital and then use that capital to put a down payment on my first flip? And then, so really it was just going to be like a stepping stone. Wholesaling was going to be a stepping stone. And I tried my first wholesale deal on the market. And shout out to Jerry Norton because he teaches you how to do pretty much everything on all his YouTube channels. Yeah. And I have no fear. I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? These people say no, right? So I really embodied everything that I learned and was like calling these realtors with confidence, like, oh, I this and that. And I hadn't done any of it, but they didn't know. They didn't ask me. And did a deal, but because I couldn't drive, I didn't know that I could wire all this stuff, but I didn't take my earnest money to the title company. And you have 3 days. to take your earnest money to the title company for your contract to be valid. I had gone on contract for a property and I had already assigned it. That's how good of a deal it was. I was going to make $10,000. Same day I assigned it. I just needed title to do their thing, but I didn't know how the title process works or how this money, you know, that I needed to get money over there. And then I couldn't even drive. And it was just so many like obstacles. Anyways, I didn't do that deal. The buyer got scared thinking I didn't know what I was doing. Well, it kind of didn't, but you know, if someone had just said, hey, you know, XYZ, whatever, I could have made it happen.
Yeah.
So then I was pissed and I was like, fuck wholesaling. I was livid. I was like, oh, like, I'm just going to try to figure out how to do this flipping thing instead. Because I was like so hurt that all that time and energy that I spent didn't work. So I was like, I'm going to pivot. I ended up doing a flip instead.
Good lesson
it was a good lesson,
yeah.
Yes. But now looking back, I'm like, okay, then the whole fiasco with the flip and everything that I learned and all of those trials and tribulations, like, okay, well, maybe if I can just figure wholesale out, you know, it's less stress of like the contractors and the deadlines and the expensive hard money. And so, you know, they have their pros and cons, but I did try both. And then again, you know, getting involved with the wholesale operation, I fell in love with teaching and I've been teaching ever since. So I kind of really haven't done my own deals. I've been helping people with their deals. So I don't have as many HUDs as had I focused on strictly doing my own transactions that I would. But I mean, I have the experience and I have people that have been able to do some deals that, you know, my name's not on there. I don't need credit. I know, and I sleep at night knowing that what I'm saying and what I'm teaching is real and true. You know, I'm not someone that's preaching something that I can't deliver on.
It's it's the same thing, man. Like, you know, think about like coaches who coach in NBA. A lot of them have never really played the game of basketball. They've been around it enough to study the metrics and the mechanics of it. Yet they teach basketball players how to become better. It's the same fucking thing. When you have a concept and it's proven and it's tried and true, ain't nobody that can take it away from you, man. So like for sure. And plus that is still doing deals.
Yes.
Like that's still doing deals. I do a bunch of deals with my students every single goddamn day. That ain't never going to stop. Ain't never going to slow down. Ain't never going to go away. I love the fact that my volume has increased tenfold because I close the majority of my real estate deals with other people, because I'm only one man. Exactly. You know, like I can have a whole team doing so much in-house, but at the end of the day it's so much easier when you have people that are invested and motivated and are on the same level of frequency as you, that are willing to do whatever it takes to get it done. And so, you know, like I got 2 deals that I'm working on in Indiana with one of my students, my guy Carter Becker. I got 2 properties I'm working on in Nebraska with my other student, Caesar. And then I have 1 property under contract with my student, Nathan Garinas, and he's out in Arizona, in Phoenix. He lives in Phoenix with his wife. He has a deal that we have under contract in Colorado. It's a $1.7 million property. It's like a huge apartment complex deal. So like, yeah, I'm doing deals. They might not all be mine anymore, but fucking A, I'm damn sure carrying them through the finish line and walking them in that direction. So yeah, for sure. Kudos to you for that, man. When you start coaching and you start teaching, what do you think is the most difficult thing about working with people that you've seen try to get into the space, try to receive your coaching?
It's a lot of information at once. There's a lot of moving parts. You know, it takes a lot to get to the finish line to where you get paid out on a deal.
Yep.
So you've got to learn, you know, how to talk to sellers, how to do a contract, how to negotiate, how to analyze the rehab. How does the title process work? Okay, what if liens pop up? So it's so many intricate parts, and it's not hard. It's just very detailed. And so, for someone who is new to this is a lot to learn at once, but it is also the best way to learn is through a deal, going through the experience. You know, you can read a book on how to build a house all day, but it's not till you physically start building that house that you start learning things that the book could never teach you.
That's facts.
You know?
That's
so
facts.
I prefer to go through a deal to teach someone versus just telling them, you know, okay, well, here's what you do. And then they're going to call me with questions. And I'm like, because we can't account for everything. There's so many variables. So I find that one thing that makes it really difficult is just like the amount of knowledge you need to have to get a deal to the finish line. So it is absolutely imperative to leverage your network, and someone who knows more than you work with them, reach out to people in your industry and say, look, I have a deal. Do you know how to work this? Like, you know, let's work this together. I'll cut you a % for your time. Like, let's, you know what I mean? You can leverage what you're doing to get you what you don't know, you know?
Yeah. I love that, man. I feel like seeing you grow into this has been insane. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, it's like, I'm just thinking about everything that you're saying. It's crazy that you're my cousin and that you're doing all of this and that you speak so passionately yet also fluently and eloquently with what you know in the business. And it's just amazing. I just want to applaud you for it.
Thank you.
It's been like, I feel like I'm like one of the only ones in our family aside from you. And like, there are a few that are actually trying to do something different. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because contracting and fixing houses is one thing. And then going to work and having a 9-to-5 is another thing. And just, you know, like, we're really trying to build something, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've been collaborating more than I think we've ever had before.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in communication with you, been in my office for like 3 or 4 days straight already.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
These are
It
good
is.
times.
It is. Even just, you know, like, not only with family, but with friends too. You know, when you're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, you're set yourself apart in the sense of like how you think. I love my friends that have their jobs and they, you know, are passionate about what they do.
Yeah,
and,
I do too.
you know, they have their career that they've built and they're very secured in that. Like, I love that for them. That's what their passion is. That's what their goal is. I'm a little different. I've always been outside the box. I've always not liked school. Like, school is the scariest thing in the world to me. So to be able to have that creative control over how I provide for my daughter and provide for my family and for myself is like what brings me comfort. And a lot of people find the comfort in job security, you know, but that's what makes the world go round. There's so many important parts and everyone plays their role. Not everyone's going to be an entrepreneur and not everyone's going to want to have that corporate job and not everyone's going to want to do hard labor. You know, not everyone's going to want to work at fast food. And so the people that fit where they're at and are happy, like, that's what makes this whole ecosystem work.
Yep.
You know,
I've seen it. And I think that when I think this is a crazy thing because I know that you're bringing that up. Like, a lot of it too is your environment and who you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
As much as like we love our friends and our family, not everybody's going to be on the same train. It doesn't make them anything less than you.
Absolutely.
It just means that we're vibrating differently in our frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in your lane, I'm in my lane.
Yes.
And you know, like, and it's not to say that this lane is anything better, bro. Like,
Not
I
at all.
shit you not. Like, we might be in a lane that is different, but it carries the same stress that you get at a 9-to-5
Mm-hmm.
equally, especially when other people are depending on you.
Mm-hmm.
That they're like, you know, fuck, yeah, I've invested in this mentor and this coach. Like, I have to see something happen with this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized that over the years. It's like the weight doesn't get any heavier. Doesn't get any lighter. We just keep getting stronger,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I think that bleeds deeper into things that we actually want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I love real estate. That's the first thing. But real estate got me all the other things that I have that I'm passionate about. It's the fact that I'm able to have this fucking podcast that I'm so passionate about, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
being able to have my cousin on my fucking show is
Mm-hmm.
something I'm really fucking passionate about. I mean, fuck, you're gonna have your own show one day. You might as well. We do it here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You bring your own guests in, and it's the fact that I have the ability to do that now.
The resources.
You know,
Mhm.
because you have the knowledge and the resources, and you can gift that to someone else. One of my favorite quotes is from Jim Rohn, and he says, "The greatest gift that you can give to someone is your own personal development." And I love that so much. Because I've been through so much. And so whenever I'm coaching someone, they get my trauma, they get my experiences, they get the things that I've gone through, the mistakes that I've made. You skip like a whole 2 decades of bullshit fucking with me, you know? And I think that that's a great thing to be able to provide for people. And you provide that for people in your own right too. And I think that that's just amazing. What's the goal for the next, like, let's say 2 or 3 years of doing this? Where do you see yourself going with this? You plan on speaking on stages and stuff too?
I'm already about to start speaking on stages.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's like immediate future. So maybe a little long term, like 2-3 years. I would love to have an operation where we're consultants. So we consult whether it's a wholesale deal or whether it's someone that's going through a fix and flip that needs some guidance, or someone that is doing a burr or or even on the other end, you know, real estate agents. I would like to be a resource for other people to come find solutions for their problems. my ADD's all over the place, so I'm not the type that does well in one particular niche. I know that people say like pick your niche and stay in it. Like my brain just doesn't work that way. Like I'm all over the place all at once. I can multitask like no one's fucking business, and I want to use that strength to set myself apart.
I see. I love it. And I see it happening too. Tell us about the event that you got coming up. What's the premise of this event? Like, I know we talked about what it's going to do. It's going to bring people through. What can people, like, it's going to bring people together. What can people expect to learn coming through?
Yeah, so it's going to be very introductory. We are planning to have more advanced ones, but we want to lay a super solid foundation.
Sorry. Keep going.
We want to lay a super solid foundation for people. No matter what level you're in, if you're a beginner, intermediate, or expert, you're going to learn something. And whether it be from me and the curriculum that I've put together, or it be someone that you meet that has more experience than you, you can definitely learn something. Like I said, setting myself apart, I'm honestly here to like fuck up the industry. Like that is just me. I've always been a risk taker. I've never been afraid to face things. Sometimes not so calculated. I'm learning to get better, like at being more mitigated in the risks that I take. But that's just in my DNA. You know, my mom thinks that I'm so stubborn, and she's very set on the way that she views things. And, you know, it's not right or wrong. That's just how she is. And so for a while, when I was like a teenager and like really growing into my own and finding who I wanted to be, I think it really stressed her out that I was such a risk taker and I wasn't afraid to, you know, see what happens. The worst thing is no. You know, most people are very reserved and very like afraid of taking those. That's never been me. And so again, I'm trying to like lean into who I am and like what's true to myself and the characteristics that I have. So I'm here to fuck up this industry.
Let's go.
I'm here to be like set myself apart. I'm here to add value. I'm here to meet incredible people. Like, let's make some money. I can consult you through your deals, and if I'm not the right fit, I'll find someone who will. You know, sometimes you might be a better fit, and I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Q has the resources that I don't have. Go see him. Like, I'm not trying to fix everyone's problems, but I know that I can point them in the direction of where to go. And so, super introduction type of info,
All newcomers.
but it's going to be very, very important because we're going to be laying a super solid foundation of things to build on. Again, the event is free. I've told people about this, and they're like, you're offering all that and it's free? And I'm like, yes, it is important to me to reach people and money not be a problem, because I think there's great people that have amazing ethics and insane hustle. They just might not have it in their bank account. And I don't want to miss out on those people. I don't want to miss out on those hidden gems. Sometimes people that can pay you are a little bit more entitled, you know, because it's like, you know, I can pay for whatever the fuck I want. And so it is what it is, versus someone who's hungry and may not have so much. And they're like, I'm going to call out from my job for the day because I really need to go learn this shit. Like, that to me is so admirable. And those are the people that I'm wanting to reach. People who are trying to make a different path for themselves. And if I can help them lay that first brick, that is what my goal is. So it's a free event. It's all day. It's going to be very workshop centered. So I know the events I've been to in the past are more networking and super motivational and having tons of great speakers, and that's important as well, but this is not that type of.
This is a workshop.
This is a workshop. Like, you're going to come, you're going to learn. We're going over definitions, we're going over formulas, we're going over how to analyze deals, we're going over how to comp. Like, it's a full-blown, and it's going to be a lot, but we're going to have resources for the next steps. So, you know, someone who is looking to maybe join a mentorship or has a deal they need help with, I've got it all planned out, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. We are offering breakfast and lunch. I don't want anyone to be like, okay, we're leaving for lunch, and then they're tired and they leave, and like,
Never
no,
fucking come back.
You're fucking staying here. We're putting our heads down, we're learning, we're working, and like, we're all here because we want to make money. If you cannot make that sacrifice and commit that time equity, then you're not the person for my event, and I'm not afraid to say that. I'm looking for people who are there and they take this very seriously because their future depends on it.
Damn, bars right there, bro. I love it. You guys, y'all make sure that I'm gonna put this in the comment section, details on the event, so everybody listening can make sure that they are subscribing to come to this event. It's RSVP.
Yes.
There's only a limited amount of people that can come.
Yes.
Right. I'm gonna be there too, so I'm gonna be hanging out in the crowd. I'll be there with you guys. So if y'all want to meet me, you know, we're coming through. We're gonna bring some people from our company to be there as well, and we're just super excited, man. I'm excited for what you have going on. For the people that are listening right now, where can they follow you?
You can find me on Instagram, Real Money Calling, because
Yeah.
every time I'm calling, it's about money.
Let's go. I love it. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll throw details about the event in the comments. I'll see y'all on the next one.
I want the check.